if you like what you do and no one's watching, really nothing else matters, because you're going to find a way to tune your craft, keep going, fail, screw up, learn, but you're loving it along the way. It doesn't feel like work. It doesn't feel like you're trying to like fit the YouTube algorithm. Like, make your own freaking algorithm, and just like, if you're happy and you're enjoying it, everything is going to be okay and you'll find a way.
On the 60th episode of Passion in Progress, YouTube creator Adrian Ritchie. Adrienne Ritchie is a former basketball player who has now transitioned over into the corporate world, and she vlogs her life in Denver, Colorado. One of the things I love the most about Adrienne's content is how real she is with her audience. In this episode, you can expect to hear us talk about diversity on YouTube, what it took for her to launch her clothing company, which is named Still Company, and things like practicing integrity even when nobody is watching. If you got value out of what you've heard from this show, if it's with any episode, please share it with a friend. The fact that people want to share this with another person tells me that it's valuable enough to people that they want other people to hear it. And that's, I think, the most important indicator to me that I'm creating the content that you guys want to hear. Let's move on to episode 60 of the Passion in Progress show with creator Adrian Ritchie. What is up, Mercedes? Javier Mercedes here for yet again another Passion in Progress show where we talk to inspiring individuals, and hopefully through hearing their stories, you too are motivated to go out and pursue your passions as well. And I could not be more excited. I'm here in Denver with Adrian Ritchie, vlogger extraordinaire. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me. I'm excited. This is my first podcast.
How about that?
Yeah.
So for the audience, can you talk about the kind of videos that you do on your YouTube page?
I'm a storyteller is how I like to put it. Mm-hmm. And so that can be through a vlog, that could be through a moment in my life, buying a house, getting married, proposing to my wife, and then also just finding stories to tell every day, the weekend adventure, and then creating some series in that, travel, went to Sri Lanka, made 5 episodes about that. And yeah, I think I've just like started to pitch myself as a storyteller, and that can look a lot of different ways, especially through other platforms like Instagram. And so that is how I see my content today.
Let's dive right into your first vlogs.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I noticed is you don't talk in them.
Oh my gosh, you went way back then.
How do you think you've grown as a creator? And what I'm talking about is it's music and montages. Talk about when you were creating in the beginning and where you're at now, and what your process is.
I think my love or my discovery of film and creation came from video montages, mm-hmm. mostly because I was in a sports environment, a basketball environment, where it was really easy to throw music onto something and get really powerful feelings from it, because it was a sports, a high intense competitive atmosphere. And so I basically taught myself everything I know through those early stages, which is always video montage. And so then when the basketball career is over, I transitioned into well, I got to make videos about something else that's not basketball, but I was still wearing that montage lens. And so it was a very safe way for me to make a video about something that happened in my life without having to really show you myself. And so I can't really put a finger on a moment where I flipped or I was like, God, just put yourself in front, look at this camera, talk to it, And I think my sister may have helped me get there because she was kind of vlogging too. My wife actually was the first one to have a YouTube channel. She's not on it now, so no one needs to look her up, but I think it's private. But I think through that and just growing up and being more comfortable with myself, I was able to decide to turn the camera around, and there's only so many video montages you can make of the mountains without telling more of a narrative behind it. So then with that, once I got my confidence, I just try to keep going and get uncomfortable in new scenarios and vlog in New York and vlog in Denver, where no one seems to, a lot of times they act like they've never seen a camera before. And so I'm trying to push myself that way. Yeah. And,
mm-hmm.
and I guess now I'm trying to I feel comfortable in front of a camera. So how can I make my story better? How can I make my narrative better? How can I tie them together, and make something more compelling?
Can you talk about your proposal video? Because
mm-hmm.
it goes hard in the pain, a phrase that I think you would appreciate.
Of course, yeah.
It's been some time since you made it, but I think it's kind of timeless. I like the vulnerability that you have there and just how you discuss your affection for another person. I think it's so relatable and so global. Talk about how you put that piece together from a perspective that to people that haven't seen it yet.
Yes, I think that video means a lot to me. It's now, like 2 years old, I guess. And I mean, my wife is the one thing that I love most in this world, obviously. And so because I had recorded and just documented for so much of our life, I had all this footage and I had like this deep desire to tell the story, mostly because of my love for her and what it meant to me as a person, and to like progress as a gay woman in this world and be able to marry someone was super important to me. But then, all of that sexual orientation aside, I just loved this human being, kind of like what you said. And I needed people to know about it. And so I really, really challenged myself to tell that story in the right way, because that kind of story falling flat, it would be like, detrimental to me as a filmmaker. I would just feel, I think often filmmakers can look back and kind of like cringe at their old stuff. And that one, I haven't gotten to the cringe point yet, which feels a little good. There's like some questionable video montage in the beginning, or like picture transitions, but like I did my best because a lot of it I didn't have footage with. And I think to your point, it was very emotional for me. I broke down a few times, but it was just so important for me to share that. And I really didn't script any of it. I think I had like a few bullet points, and it was me and my sister in my living room, like lying to my wife about what we were doing. I don't even know where she was, but we were just like sat down and I just like told the story. And I think that was like the very first time that I put so much pressure on it, and I appreciate pressure. And so somehow it made its way to a final product. And now I still get comments on it. It's like, I think it just hit 400,000, and people still relate to it. Like, wow, I can't believe that this is real. Like, a lot of people don't know that women can marry each other, let alone be captured in a film, telling a story, like appreciative of the love that it is. Not that it's gay love or different love. It's just like, wow, like they can see it in me because of my feelings for her are so strong. And so I just feel like it's still a message to my viewers. And a lot of the reason that I love doing what I'm doing is because of representation. And like, yes, I want to grow, and yes, I want to build a business, and I want to tie this all together. But at the end of the day, there's a 12-year-old girl or boy in their room right now in Kentucky or Mississippi or anywhere really that has no idea the concept of like a gay relationship working out. And I didn't have that when I was younger. So I always look back and I'm like, man, I could have, been so much further along if I had seen this. And so that's just like, at the end of the day, if nothing else, I want to represent a world where these young kids can feel like it could be there someday.
Mm-hmm. This was on one of your most recent videos that I think it was Alex Gasaway. Shout out Alex Gasaway. Asked you what your biggest failure to date was, and I think you said something along the lines. And this ties back to the montage thing that I was talking about. What can you explain what
absolutely.
It is?
So like, my biggest regret in life, which is like dramatic, but it's a regret, and it's a thing that it's just like two conflicting time periods in my life that just like didn't line up. So I didn't really record anything overseas, which is so crazy to think about now. Because even in college before that, I recorded a lot of my teammates, of anything, of road trips. And then I had a little series on our website that I made videos for. And then for some reason that switch just like flipped off in my brain as soon as I went overseas.
And I'm totally cutting you off.
No, it's okay.
For context, were you playing basketball at this time?
Yes.
Is that why you were?
Yep.
So I think another thing to take into consideration is you were pursuing your career in basketball. Mm-hmm. So you were overseas playing basketball, and that's the reason why you went overseas.
Yeah, exactly. I think part of it was because I was homesick and I felt far away and I was sad, or like just that creative juice was not at the forefront of my mind. And I think I kind of wish I would have realized that, because it could have been a really good reason to find purpose. Because I'd never really been far away from home. At college, I lived 20 minutes away from where I grew up. And this was like the first time it felt like I was like at a sleepover for the first time away from my parents. And we had traveled plenty in college and everything, but I was like so removed from everything I knew. And I think that enough just like shocked my system, and I shut off all creative vibes or pursuit. And so I didn't really document anything other than like a crappy Samsung vertical video where like when vertical video wasn't a thing, not in like the cool way of vertical video now, but like, and so I did make a montage video, of course, at the end for my teammates of like 7 months and like a 30-minute super choppy, no narrative video, which at least I have that. But man, like I just feel like I missed out on such a formative time in my life. And like even just looking at a camera and saying, I'm sad today. I miss my now wife. I miss my family. You know, my grandpa died while I was over there. I couldn't come back. Like there's so many things I could have said to a camera. If nothing else, if no film or creative, you know, magic happened, at least I could have documented diary style on my feelings. And I don't have that. I really just have pictures and some memories here and there. Obviously in my mind, in my heart, I have them and stories to tell, but really like being able to call back on those archives is something I won't be able to do.
How important is it for you to tell things how they really are? Because it sounds like you've reached a point now where you're comfortable in front of the camera and you're more about having a real conversation than the montages and everything. How is that now?
I think it's the most important thing. I think we need to talk about how we feel. I think mental health is so important. And I think some of the issues we have, especially if I go back to the youth, is like they see a video montage of me with my wife and my perfect little life and house or whatever. And like, that's just not how it is. Yes, some days are great, but sometimes I wake up tired and I don't want to work out. It's not just always like me perfectly on my Instagram stories working out or whatever it is. It's so important to tell people how you feel, especially the viewer, especially people who keep coming back. And I think that's how you build a relationship, just like you would in real life. You have to build a relationship with the viewer, the YouTube subscriber, whoever it is, that they can trust you. And that I'm not trying to get likes. I'm not trying to make you think my life is anything other than exactly what it is. And if I'm super happy that day, you can trust that I'm happy and that something great happened. And if I'm not vlogging, it's because I'm stressed out, and I'm not going to like sit down and be happy for you if I'm stressed out, or at the very least, I'm at least going to tell you I'm stressed out. And it should come across, in my opinion, that's my goal, is to like let you know and feel what I'm feeling.
Would you say that your growth in the social platforms has grown since you've had that mentality?
I think so. Yeah. I think it's like one of my biggest pieces of feedback is that they appreciate seeing me be real and authentic. And then it does go back to like me and my wife and us hanging out and seeing that that's a possible thing, to be just like their quotes are literally like walking around as like a normal couple, which like normal is like a hard word that I don't like to use. But what they're saying is that like, oh, you can buy a house. 2 women can buy a house. Like, it's not, you know, like who's gonna change the freaking light bulbs? It's like, you know, like who's gonna kill the spiders? Like people really think that and ask us that. And so it's just, yeah, I think that I definitely have seen it grow because of that. I mean, it was because of that huge video. I keep getting subscribers because of that proposal video. And then they see the wedding video, and then they see the reception, and then they see all these things. And then they, I think, just get hooked on like the story in our relationship. And then me as an individual, because she's not really in many of my videos. But yeah, I think authenticity is the key to growth.
That's so you still get comments like that?
Oh yeah. I mean, I still get comments on videos of like, you must repent, like you are a sinner, like this world, go back to like your husband. You should both go find your husbands, is what I get.
I saw you post on one of your, during the Pride walk or whatever it is, not a marathon, but the parade. The post on there, it was like something real nasty that also was said that day. I forget what you wrote though.
Yeah, I retweeted or posted something from like a current pastor in Nashville, Tennessee, who's like preaching to his congregation that they should go down to the Pride Parade wherever they are, you know, like mush us all together and then execute us.
Like, this video is getting demonetized.
No more, yeah. It's scary stuff, yeah.
Sorry?
Yeah,
I don't know where to jump off from that, but that I just hate that that's still a thing in today's society.
Yeah.
still kind of staying with that topic, in one of the other videos you did such a good job with was the fair representation one. Do you want to talk about how that is, and not just YouTube, but just like any platform in general?
Yes. That was a very eye-opening experience for me. I think, so I made a video about an experience I had after I entered a contest on Instagram. And I did not win the contest. Great, totally fine. And I watched 6 men win over me. And at first glance, I mean, it was a very quick through the winners. At first glance, they all appeared to be white. And I think there's like some diversity in there, but like I'm protecting them already by me saying that. Like, to me, it looked like all men who looked the same. And so I just kind of like, I went off and I like found my tribe, which is a lot of the theme of that story, of that film, is we gravitate towards people who are like us. And so I wanted to know if the hosts of that contest, Jesse and Will, if they had subconsciously just like accidentally picked men who looked like them. And, you know, just like I could have accidentally picked queer women or whatever. Anyone who's in, like, you just look and you like see people who are like you, and it's, you know, like basically conditioning us for many, many years that is safety. If they look like you, they're safe. And so I want to dive into that. I want to know if it was a conscious decision, how many women entered, why were the women who entered, why was that volume so much less than men? And then you go really far back. It's because we're taught at young age that maybe technology isn't for us. It's a man's world. Engineering is a man's world. All that. But throughout that process, I think they're all things that I knew. I know what white privilege looks like. I know, you know, Cody said it best. He's like, I am the definition of white privilege. He's a white, straight man, you know, middle, upper class. And that's what this looks like. And
she's referencing another YouTuber for those that don't know.
Cody Warner, yeah.
He's also on the podcast.
Yes.
Forget the episode
37 or something. I like just listened to it.
Dang. You know that. Continue.
Yeah, sucking up to the teacher. But I think it's just like, let's talk about it. Like, it's not anyone's fault. It's not Cody's fault that he's white and a male. But it's his fault if he stays in that lane and just decides to like only see the world as a white male. And so that's the message I want to get across, that we have to like peek over at each other's lanes and understand that like a situation like that contest could treat me or make me feel one way and make a white man feel another way, make a black woman feel another way. I talked to Brittany, who's a filmmaker in LA, and she feels absolutely invisible on any set in LA. They can't believe that she's hired, essentially, in a lot of cases. And so, yeah, it's just kind of about that and like getting out in the open, like, let's talk about it. What makes us feel uncomfortable? Where do we flock to? And then just like kind of just moving that conversation along.
Mm-hmm. And in Jesse's defense, he did talk to you in that video. There's nothing like, they definitely, you should watch the video.
Yes, you should. Because I talked to Jesse, the owner, or the guy who put on the contest, and I met him at 368 before that. Like, he's a really good guy, and I like him a lot. And it wasn't like, the video wasn't meant to like catch anybody in the wrong, but it was like, also he had a few moments where he said, he's like, oh, I never thought about it that way. And like, that's all we're trying to do here, is like, let's just think about things we haven't thought about before. He definitely thought about, you should watch the video, but yeah, just a little teaser there for you. But
boom. Don't click off this video yet, though. That was definitely one of the things with my podcast, is I'm always looking to keep it as diverse as possible. And to me, that's not necessarily a conscious, like I have to make a conscious decision, because my dad's from Dominican Republic and my mom's from Columbia City, Indiana.
Yep.
Even growing up, it took me till high school to realize like, oh, there was things of segregation, all this other stuff. And now I know, but it's just, it's weird in today's society, I guess, that kind of mentality. Let's talk about your hat that you have on right now, Still Company.
This whole thing.
Recently, what you've been doing with it, and I'll just let you take it off from there.
Yeah. Okay. So I started a hat company. This is the first hat. That's what it's called. It's up on the website now. It's been about 2 weeks, and I kind of just turned like this feeling, this passion into a business. I love design. I love, like, when I was little, I was always like the one who's like making bracelets and making my parents like fill out a form to like order their bracelet. I loved it. I loved everything about the organization and the profit and all of that. Tracking margins is like so exciting to me. But so then that was like kind of on the side. We'll put that over there. And then fast forward to me just loving hats, and I'd go in line and try and like find a hat that looked cool and maybe had some sort of meaning behind it that I could like get behind. So if people ask you like, what's that hat? It wasn't just like the North Face like everyone else has. Like I wanted something that was a little different with good design and comfortable. And I could not find that combination anywhere. I would buy hats that looked cool, get them in the mail, like scratch your forehead, not great material, just not what I wanted over and over and over again. I couldn't meet that expectation. So I was like, I'm just going to design my own. And then I'm going to make a company around it. And so I found some sample hats. I tried them on. This one, it's comfortable. It's flexible. It feels, great on your forehead. It has like metal clasp on the back. It's just, it's a hat that I want to wear over and over again. And so that's really all I'm trying to say is that it's a comfortable hat. And then on top of that, just describe it really well. Because I know there's probably hats out there that are great and maybe they're a little more expensive. That's okay. But you're either not, I can't find you, or like you're not describing it well enough where I understand how great of a hat it is. So that was my number 2 thing other than design, was just being able to really represent the product well. Like full 360 views, close-ups on the details. How does it fit? What are the measurements? Those are things I couldn't find either. And so I just tried to go over the top on my description of the product so that like, if you don't need a hat, no pressure. You don't have to buy this hat. But if you're looking for a hat that's comfortable and has a cool, like simple design, then you should know everything you're going to get before you get it in the mail and make your decision then that you can feel good about.
How long did it take you to design?
Probably like 3 months, I think, or at least with like the product, like first designing the logo, which my sister is a designer. And so she did this logo. And then understanding, well, she gave me like a few different iterations, how big, how small, and then you got to like picture it on a hat. So back and forth with the production company, try this size, try that logo. Is it straight across or is it double stacked like it is now? So that whole process was probably 3 months. And then it kind of just like ran. As soon as I got the hats, went out to LA, did like a long weekend of production and hanging with Alex Gasaway. Shout out Alex Gasaway. And Connie Bizelski, and just like being around that creative vibes and creating all this content that you'll basically everything that you see on my We Are Still Co. Instagram page is from that weekend, and still have a lot more to create. I think I mentioned to you that I'll do like a short series on how I started the company, all the behind the scenes. Right now there's just like a few vlogs up that show some of the process, but the full details are yet to come. So
what does still company mean? To
me, basically like how I came up with it, I just wrote a bunch of words down that meant something to me. I always say, keep going. This is only the beginning, like persist. And so I really like the idea of 2 words that would conflict with each other kind of naturally. So like keep going is one thing, a lot of people say. I think Adobe like coined it too. But like keep could be still, keep could be pause, going could obviously means go. And so I liked still. I really was hung on still. I couldn't find a word to go with it. And then one of my friends was like, what about just still company? And I was like, that's it. And so still to me does have a double meaning still. It's like pause, but it can mean persist. Like you are still creating, you're still going. And so I think it's open to interpretation for anyone. I like that it's not super obvious, like keep going, it's not trying to be like trying to solve the world's problems all at once, but it's just like, it's a simple way if you want a good hat and just find a way to like pursue anything. And I think that's what it means to me.
Hardest part of starting it, what was like the nitty gritty of actual, because I know it took like 3 months to get to that point, but even for me, building my website and everything like that took me 3 months to do that. So what are some of the trials and tribulations of doing your, if it's the hat, the company, what anything? Yeah. Accounting, keeping margins. Yeah. What is it?
I think a few things. One would be overall energy, or just like time. Maybe not energy, because I work a 9 to 5, and so I come home And I was like all in. I was so up for it. I would work at 9 to 5 and then spend another 5 hours editing or planning my website and doing all this stuff because I loved it. And it was just like filling me up so much inside. I didn't care that I was spending my time there and not maybe out with friends or something. And then I think the website stuff, just like the finicky, like hook your Squarespace up to the shipping station, to Stripe, to all these things. And you're like, gosh, like that was all like some of the last few days before I launched. And it was like, you thought this like just your like housekeeping, just like tighten things up here and there. And then it's like, no, actually you have 8 hours of work at least to kind of tie this all up. And so those last few days before I was like barely sleeping, but it was worth it. It was fun. And again, it was just like the adrenaline. It didn't feel like work because it's really, really fun. And so now I'm at the part where I got to figure out the shipping. And I mean, I have it figured out, but it's just like actually shipping it from my right here, I guess. This is probably it'll go from podcast to shipping station here pretty soon. And then, and then, yeah, I guess you could ask me that in a couple months and I'll tell you probably something different.
So you'll get the actual, just in bulk, the hats here, and then you will ship manually from this place.
Yes.
So you're going to be taking care of customer service and all that stuff too at the same time.
Yeah.
That's well, I guess I can't really ask anything about that because you're not at that stage yet. Yeah. But like for me personally, Squarespace is exactly that. It's marketed as, still sponsor me Squarespace. It's marketed as start selling your things.
Yeah.
Pull these blocks onto this website
Simple.
And then do it, which I will agree that it is. Yes, it's very intuitive to a point, but what you were just talking about, actually, it's the other stuff on the back end. So using Squarespace is really fast, but there's like, if you want an email list, how do you set it up through MailChimp? And then you have to sign up for MailChimp, and then you have to like make sure they're talking to each other and keep checking on that stuff. But then with like what you just said with Stripe, you have to set up your account with an external third party, make sure they're talking to each other, maybe do a fake purchase and be like, oh, am I able to reimburse? Am I not able to? Yes. There's so many questions that go through your head when something like that happens.
Yep. And then what does it look like, when I get an email back from a company? What does it look like, that your order was successful? Like, what is that experience like? Everything's an experience, and you have to be so careful with it. And even putting disclaimers like only shipping to the US right now, free shipping or like no returns, all that stuff, making sure you put that in there because you're protecting yourself now. Something that's bigger. But yeah, and then also like when you tie all those softwares to each other, sometimes it's like, here's $20 per month on this thing, here's $30 per month on this thing, and now that's cutting into your margins because you need to like sustain this system, this ecosystem really, in order to sell a hat. And that's great. And of course there's overhead. It's just like understanding what you're getting yourself into and making sure you're getting your returns in a easier, efficient way.
What was your best source of information when you were learning throughout that process?
Google, and I talk a lot to Alex Gasway. Shout out Alex Gasway. I just like tried to bounce my ideas off her, off Connie Bazalski, who's another YouTuber, and just kind of like, what did you do when you hit this thing? Or like just going out to LA and even just like doing it in front of her. They're just kind of like, how about this? Or have you thought about Instagram Shop? Like, it didn't even occur to me about Instagram Shop until Alex told me. And I think it just goes, this whole thing, I'm just winging it. Like every YouTube, I'm winging it in a sense. Like you just have to like do it and like fail and like screw up. And, forget to sign up for MailChimp until the night before. Like that's just, you're never going to know perfectly because you've never started a hat company before. So just start a hat company and then you'll figure it out. And my second and third and fourth shipment will be better, and my experience will be better, and my actual packaging will be better, and all that. Like Instagram Shop is a good example of like I needed to give it a few days to get approved, and I was like doing it the night before I was launching, and so I was just like, of course. But now it's up and it's working, it's all fine, and like nobody really knows the difference in those 2 days of when Instagram Shop wasn't up or when it is now. Sure, maybe I lost a couple sales, but like, it's going to be okay. And it's up now and I'm learning as I'm going. Mm-hmm. So
how has it been surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals in the passion that you're pursuing?
Yeah, it's the best thing. I talk a lot about it, but even going out to LA, like I could have launched that company here. I could have done a photo shoot in my backyard. There's just something about being around that energy, and it's absolutely like a tangible feeling. You know it when you feel it, you know it when you see other people like you. And so I don't have a massive like Denver collaboration experience. Like my sister's creative, and but she does it professionally, and so I think sometimes her juices are all run out by the time she gets to 6 o'clock happy hour. And she made my design. She's great, and she like definitely facilitates a lot of those conversations for me. It's just different when there's someone who's like doing it for you and has already been there. Like I feel like Alex and Connie have already like notched a lot more on their belt than I have, and so I'm like behind them, and I'm just trying to like, you know, watch what they've done and learn as I go. And so to be in a room, or even, you know, Connie, I didn't spend as much time with her, but we did get brunch, like the three of us, and then Aaron, Alex's wife. And it's just like, oh my gosh, like we can just talk about, did you see that last YouTube video where, you know, Nathaniel just made this and that? And like, could you believe that? And that's a conversation. Like I found myself so many times saying, I've never had this conversation before, or not like this. Like I had to really pursue it. Or there's so many ways on Instagram or on Twitter where you can reach out to people and chat, and that's great. But like spending so much time with Alex, I stayed at her place for 2-3 days, and we just got to like accidentally stumble on all these creative conversations that was just so fun. And so, sometimes being in Denver, I think it's upcoming, and I'm trying to find more Denver creators, and I'm trying to be one of the main ones so that people can find me. And
the YouTube creator.
Yeah, Denver creator. Yeah. And I think it's just like, I'm going to foster it. I'm going to like manifest it out into the world, into Denver's universe, and see what happens. But there's something to be said about that. Even this, like coming in here, it's just like, we just set up cameras, and there's like, you don't have to, there's no like buffer of like, so I'm setting up a tripod now, and that tripod is used to hold a camera. Like with someone who doesn't know, or like, what are you doing that for? Like, why are you putting it over there? It's just like, yep, here we go. Put the lamp on the table. And it's like, it's better for the lighting. You know, it's just like, that's so refreshing. And yeah, I love it.
Talk to me about doing your full-time job, creating, doing a business, and then living your own life. Because you share a lot of what you do too. Yeah. That's part of what you do as a creator. How has that journey been so far, and has it taken a toll? I know we kind of grazed on it earlier, and like, oh, I might vlog this time or not, but it sounds like most of your time right now is spent getting the company running efficiently, but where are you at right now with just like splitting yourself into the many Adrians that are there?
Yeah, exactly. That's how it feels like sometimes. Like even coming to this, it's like I just have to switch something in my brain because they're so different. So my job is very technical. I'm a product manager at NBC Universal, and so I manage a software. Like I help design and implement software features and design to, you know, improve our operation, to increase automation essentially. And so that's just a lot of fancy words of like, just, you know, something doesn't exist, I have to make it exist, I have to test it, and then like rinse, repeat. And so
sounds like any job, actually.
Yeah.
Well, I think you kind of put a blanket statement for any job.
Exactly. And I think any job could go through that workflow.
Yeah.
I think there's just like a lot of pressure, and I have to like oversee a lot of people and make things happen. And there's deadlines, and there's like, you know, a lot of hands being shook in meetings that I'm not in, and then I have to go like execute on that plan. Of course, any job, but it takes a lot out of me. I have to be decently extroverted at work, not all the time, but I'm an introvert, and so that drains a lot out of me. And so by the time I get home, if it's a day that's full of meetings or demos or presentations, and I come home, the last thing I want to do is be on camera to give another presentation, essentially. So if it's a situation where I can edit and be alone in my introversion, then that's great. I have no problem like pursuing YouTube. Even sometimes those days are hard. Obviously, if you're just drained, no matter what, your energy is low, then it's hard to even edit or like use your creative space, your creative brain. And so I go on highs and lows between my work and my vlogging because they usually just have to complement each other. But recently, I think I found a way that like, at least my hat company has brought me so much joy that I have no problem working a lot at work and coming home and working some more because it's fun. and then also making sure I don't get burnt out. My job, I have to travel a lot. And so sometimes that allows me to like vlog in New York, or vlog anywhere I go, usually LA or New York for work. And so that presents a new opportunity. But then even then it's like really hard sometimes for my brain to say, okay, I'm going to New York for this big workout session or big presentation or big, there's like real tangible output that I have to do for my real job. And so if my mind's thinking about that and being prepared and doing that presentation, how could I just like whip out a camera and also think about my story and my transitions and the narrative and like my B-roll? It's really hard to do both of those at the same time. Sometimes I can pull it off. Maybe my vlog is weaker, or what my real job is calling for isn't as high intensive. And so I can find a way. But I think I need to get back, or I want to get back into being able to like vlog more frequently and do well at my job. I never want one to kind of, or at least my real job, to be hindered by my daydreaming of vlogging. Like that definitely happens because sometimes, when I wake up, I'm like, oh, I'm going to do so many creative things tonight. I can't wait to get home and make a website and make a new GIF and do a vertical Instagram or tweet. That's so fun. And then I go to work and I'm thinking about it. I'm still like killing it at work and doing all these things. And I come home and I'm like, yeah, right. Like I can't do anything today. Like I'm so tired. But then sometimes I'm like, I'll go creative at night and I'm like, wow, I did so much today and I am loving it. Like I'm so tired, but I am loving it. And those are the best days. I wrote it down, I think like in one of my journals of like, you're happy when you're like exhausted, or basically what we're saying, after a 10-hour day, I want to come home and I want to work more. Like that's how I know that I'm happy. And I think in that sense, I'm the happiest I've ever been, and being able to like work and create simultaneously.
I think it's nice hearing a tale of vlogging from somebody that has a full 9-to-5,
mm-hmm.
also enjoys vlogging, but wants to excel at both.
Yeah.
I think a common thread is how fast can I get popular as a vlogger to exit from my normal job.
That's a great point.
But from what it sounds like from your perspective, you enjoy doing both.
Yeah. I've never really thought about that way. I mean, I have, like, I know people are like, you should do what you love. And I actually really do love my job. It's challenging. I work with great people. I get to travel. I honestly, like, I learned so much through that job that absolutely translates back to YouTube. Or even just like planning a business and understanding timelines and how long things take, prioritization, telling no to people, in talking in front of, I think like YouTube and presentations go back and forth. I think, it's like the chicken or the egg, which one helped first, but I feel comfortable in front of a group of people because I feel comfortable in front of a camera, and in the same way back and forth. And so they do have, although they're so different and one's technical and one's creative, there are skills that I can use on a daily basis in both, arenas. And I have no plans to quit my job. I just want to do more. I just want to be able to do my job and start a business. And just like, in some ways I'm motivated by the career ladder. Like that is in my personality. I think it goes back to me being an athlete. Like I'm definitely motivated by getting better and going further in my career. And, naturally that means moving up, making more money. And if I could find a way to be able to like excel at both, I mean, that's the dream, especially if one allows me to travel or take more time off. My job, I'm lucky that it gives me flexibility and PTO. And so I can take trips with my wife and my family. I guess I never really thought about that. I mean, I've definitely thought about like, oh, it'd be great to like sit in a studio, quit my job and like sell hats and create in a studio on South Broadway in Denver. And I wonder if like that would be enough for me. I think I love having a place to go every day where I know exactly what's going to happen in a sense. And vlogging sometimes gives me anxiety thinking, or like a full-time YouTuber, because my personality doesn't fit like that spontaneous life. I like routine, and I like that anything spontaneity is something I can choose to do here and there. But my life doesn't depend on it. My paycheck doesn't depend on it.
That's very well said.
Thank you. Thank you. Sometimes I just feel like I'm babbling and then I'm like, I should end the sentence now so you can ask me another question.
I think it's a good representation of those people. And I think, and I talk about this a lot on the podcast. There's an event that we both went to where we met was the Creators Offline by Genki Hegata. Shout out. He's also been on the podcast. During that offline event, there were different speakers there. And one of the speakers, their whole speech was about like, you can have a full-time job and do like YouTube is my creative outlet. And it was just good to hear that argument or opinion or whatever you want to call it versus let's use camera all the time, be a YouTuber all the time.
Yeah.
You the tubes.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I think there's different flavors. You can like mix it up and I think that works for a lot of people. A lot of people could not imagine sitting at a desk like I do and going to meetings and like working for the man. But I love that because it's stability and it's like, yeah, sure, I'll do this for you. Like, because I know what I'm going to get in return. And then I'm going to go over here and hustle my butt off to try and do something for me. And that's what I get. And it's fun and it's just less pressure. Like I'm not afraid of pressure, but I get all that pressure over here working for the man. And then I can kind of like experiment or like, if I don't have my Instagram shop up on the first day, it's not a big deal. I don't lose thousands of dollars. I'm just like, I'll figure it out next time type of thing and try not to make the same mistake twice.
It's awesome. Would you say that there's a, at some point, like 10 years down the line, something will come to a head?
You know, I think about that. Yeah, I do. I think, I wonder how high I can get in the company. Not like I'm very high up. I did just get promoted, you know, if I have to like say that, but I'm moving up in a sense. Like, I think it's like, she just
brushed her shoulders off like Jay-Z style.
Yeah. I don't know why I had to say that, but I think it's just like, I'm doing the same amount of work and I'm progressing my career in that sense. And like, so I wonder sometimes how high I would go with it being too much, where I travel too much. Like I see the people above me in my company and they travel a lot and they work a lot. You know, at what point will I say no to a promotion so that I can continue to run a hat company or to raise kids? Or, you know, I definitely think about that scenario where I can just like hang out working for the man and keep going. Or does it mean that because I've started something else over here, it is something that's more sustainable and I could like part with that job and focus on something that's more established, I guess, and then move. But I definitely have kind of this open, fluid endpoint that I'm okay with not knowing exactly. I'm not trying to start the world's best hat company. I just like making hats that are comfortable, and that if I could make extra money on that, how fun is that? Like that's my current state in the game, and then we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think it'd be cool to just like freelance, like I said, especially if I could be a parent at the same time. We want to have kids at some point, and so if that would allow me the flexibility where I could work at a studio in downtown Denver or down here by my house and then go pick up my kids at 4:00 for soccer practice, like, and I could be happy, and you know, that'd be so great. So
shout out U.S. women's soccer team.
Yeah. Which is going to be the next guest on your podcast.
Yeah, there you go. That I will say, I have two kids of my own, and your perspective, I'm putting words in your mouth,
Yeah.
but in general, my experience, your perspective of time, and I just talked about this on my last podcast, is you get laser focused, and you strike me as a person that's already laser focused, but it's not just the kids, it's your significant other. Like when I was going gun ho, vlogging every day, like doing all this stuff, like I want to grow on YouTube and do all these things. The other family part of my life was like getting lower on the totem pole. And it wasn't like I'm completely ignoring my children and type of thing.
Yeah.
And then stepping back, for me, there's only so much that I want to hustle at the sacrifice of spending time with family. It's a common theme that I keep bringing up with other YouTubers, but it's a tough balance. I mean, I talked about it with Cody too, because he's like omnipresent on all social platforms, and I just don't know how he does it. But I mean, that's a whole nother discussion. But I will say that family, once that enters the equation, especially children, like it just things change, like your perspective changed on what's important.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll have to like decide, how do you spend your time, which like, obviously I have decent amount of time management skills, but it's like the little things of like this morning I work out and I come back and I'm like, doing push-ups in my yard, watching a YouTube video. And it's like, that doesn't happen when you have a baby. Like there's so many little times where you get to yourself, which usually means, consuming creative content or thinking about creative content.
Yeah.
Planning creative content that, start to go away, or at least you have to choose A or B. You don't get both. And so I totally understand that. I'm trying to like foreshadow a little bit and prep and like hustle as hard as I can the next 2 or 3 years before that happens. And then
love that. I love that you realize that stuff now, because there's a lot of people that I look at, and like if you're single, you have all the time in the world, and I'm like, God, do not waste your time. Like, I guess if you're looking to like play video games and everything, I don't know. I don't want to like, what's the phrase
project on them or like,
because one of the things of how I'm creative, how I am today, is because of playing like normal Nintendo or watching my brothers play normal Nintendo. But there's so many other things where just like take your time and use it better. I don't know.
Yeah.
2 questions I ask everybody at the end of each podcast. Why do you do what you do?
I do what I do because it makes me feel bigger, essentially. And I think when I feel bigger or like more things are possible, I'm happier. And so if that means, making a video about my wife that I can have forever, like that's why I do that. Like if, thinking about kids again, I want to record them every day on the first day of school. I want to do so many things I'm already thinking about. And it's because I want to be bigger. I want to make something bigger than me. And then to have that forever is just like this incredible feeling, or like, I just can't even comprehend that really, that my kids will be able to see their whole life on film. And so that's like a really tangible way of saying why I do what I do, but it's because, I just like need more. I always want more. And so I constantly put things in, like an empty box in front of myself, because I want to check something off. I want to do something I haven't done. And I think I'm going to just keep trying to find new boxes to check. And whatever that, manifests as, at this time it's a hat company. Next, we'll see what happens. But I just like to check boxes, I guess. That's what I do. Why I do what I do.
Amazing quote there. A blank box in front of you.
Yeah.
Gonna take that with me in perpetuity. Next question is to get from where you were, and let's take it from 2015. No talking to the camera. Maybe when you were building your shelves and you started talking to the camera. I had to get that in there. But from 2015, when you started to vlog, to where you're at now, what advice would you give to people if they wanted to pursue what you're doing?
You'll always find a way. Like my dad always says, like, there's always a way. And I think there's always, especially always, a way when you feel good about it. Like when you're all alone and no one's watching, are you enjoying yourself? And if the answer is yes, you will be just fine, no matter what. Even if you start with really, really bad video montages in 2015, like you'll be okay, because at that time I really liked it. And if I wasn't doing that in 2015, I would not be doing this in 2019. And so I loved editing videos, and there's probably 300 views on those videos, which actually is a lot now, like really in perspective. But if you like what you do and no one's watching, really nothing else matters, because you're going to find a way to tune your craft, keep going, fail, screw up, learn, but you're loving it along the way. It doesn't feel like work. It doesn't feel like you're trying to like fit the YouTube algorithm. Like make your own freaking algorithm, and just like, if you're happy and you're enjoying it, everything is going to be okay, and you'll find a way.
What does the term integrity behind closed doors mean to you?
Ooh, I think that is self-commitment and self-motivation. It goes back to like when no one's watching. So like today, like I have so many goals that I have in my own mind that I don't even need to tell people. But like today I decided I'm not drinking beer for like a week, which is like a silly thing to use, but I could have, like, that was in my head, and I could have sat here and had a beer with you because it'd be fun and we're doing something, but I know that I made a promise to myself that I wasn't going to drink beer for a week or whatever it is. And so to me, it's keeping a promise with yourself. And if you can hold that promise, everything else is going to be that much easier. If you can't even hold a promise with yourself, how are you going to be able to promise your spouse, your coworkers, your family members, anything, if you can't at least have it put together inside? I just don't think you can have the external promise without your first internal with yourself.
Do you think some of that stems from being an athlete in the first place?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, how many times, like, like, do 25 reps, okay? Like, if you stop short at 24, no one's going to know. No one was counting for you, but you know. And you're going to know you're going to start to repeat that. You're going to have bad behavior. You're going to stop running through the line. And it sounds cheesy, but I promise you that, like, there'll be so many times, even in my career, that, like, you win a game in a millisecond. You could win a game, you could lose a game in a millisecond. And it's like, you have to show up and you have to, like, finish through. Otherwise, you're creating even a subconscious bad habit. And if you're telling yourself it's okay, oh, you're tired, it's okay. You're too busy, it's okay. Then what? Like, then where's the line? You just have to. It's the same way that, like, my wife and I talk about that, like, we'll never cross a certain line. I will never use certain language with her, because as soon as we do, we've opened a whole new level, whole new environment that I do not want to live in. And we just refuse to cross that line. So we always know we're always keeping that promise with each other. And so, yeah, you just have to, like, show up for yourself and kind of, like, hold that promise. And then everything else kind of just falls into place. And you've created a behavior in yourself that you can use, with anyone in your life and with anything you do in your life.
There you go. Where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Adrian M. Ritchie. YouTube is just Adrienne Ritchie. Yeah, come find me, check it out.
And then if people want to see the hat.
People want to see the hat. Great question. I have to start learning how to promote that. wearestillcompany.com is where you can find the shop. Instagram is wearestillco. You can buy it right through there. Find the website through the Instagram shop because it's live now. At wearestillco on Twitter as well. Come check us out. And then videos, on YouTube showing that process of starting a company will be coming very soon. Probably by the time this episode's out, you'll at least have one to look at.
Boom. And people have context by listening to this and probably checking out the video.
Absolutely.
All the Adrian, all the time.
Too much, but not enough.
Hey, it's just the beginning.
Yeah, it's only the beginning.
It's only the beginning. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And guess what? If you guys and gals enjoyed this episode, you could share it out and you could both tag me and Adrian in it. It's at Adrian Ritchie, correct? Do you want to spell it for him?
Yes, at Adrian M. Ritchie, Adrian, M like Marie, and then Ritchie, Ritchie.
And me at Javier Mercedes X. Also, if you did enjoy it, I would appreciate it if you shared it out and if you left me a review on iTunes. And if you love me so much, you could subscribe to the podcast on iTunes as well. All the plugs. I hope you're still listening. And if you are, I hope you live a life of abundance. And until next episode, I'll see you guys later.